So depending where you've flown in, come in this week to Shanghai, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but not good night. I'm not going to allow you to fall asleep over the next 20 minutes as I take you through a couple of slides. So look, I can give you the conclusion on the slides right now. It's very simple. Microsoft has been committed for plus 30 years to the partners, to you, to the ecosystem, the vibrant ecosystem of partners across Asia. That is unchanged. It is the same for today, for tomorrow, for the years ahead. And we want you to be profitable in business with us. We understand it's core. It's core for you to focus on Microsoft, to go out and win new business and take great care of the customers you have. So upfront, that's the conclusion. We're committed to you, we're with you, and we want to take you with us, if you're not already, with us to the cloud. So as you may gather from my funny, although I don't think it's funny, my funny accent, I'm born and raised in Denmark, but I've lived outside Denmark for 20 odd years. I've lived and worked in South Africa, in Turkey, in Thailand, and for the last 5 years or so in the US. And I've worked for Microsoft for the last right about 13 years. And I wanted to take a starting point by looking at just the industry where we're at and how the industry is transforming by looking back a little bit. Now, I do remember 30 odd years back in the 80s. We were in the pre-PC era. It was the early days of Windows, the early days of productivity, and of course, the famous Microsoft mouse. Do any of you remember the Microsoft mouse? Yeah? Okay, you're with me. Good. Then we went into the PC era, and of course, this was the real time of productivity, the real time of Windows 95, and tremendous opportunity that we captured together. Moving into 2000 to 2010, this was really the era where we got going on exciting new devices, and of course, the internet, and moreover, great new devices, including, of course, Xbox and Windows Phone. And the last years has really been the start of the next phase, the phase we're in today, the phase of cloud, the phase of public cloud, of partner cloud, really where we're seeing we are now able at an enterprise level to go out and offer services to customers, large and small, that are truly unique, that is truly democratizing IT for every single customer out there, whether small or large. That's what the cloud does. That's a unique value proposition that we're here to talk to today. And at Microsoft, our worldview is very simple and straightforward. We call it the mobile-first, the cloud-first world. Now, in this world, we have a very, very strong belief in the core of our vision, being that we will be the productivity and the platform company for this mobile-first, cloud-first world. And we will reinvent productivity to empower every person and every organization on the planet to do more and to achieve more. Again, for those of you that has been around for a few years, do you remember a PC on every desk? Yeah? That was a vision by Paul Allen and Bill Gates 37 years ago. Any of you remember that? Yeah, I see a few hands. Very good. Very good. So when you reflect on this statement at the core of Microsoft for the future of us working together, this is a bold undertaking. But this is not the first time that we together have undertaken a very, very, very significant challenge. And this is what we'd like to work on together with you going forward. On this vision for the modern workplace, we see that we certainly want to make sure we deliver the best experience to your customers. That requires a focus on fast response, personalized services, enterprise-grade systems and support, whether the customers are small or large, anticipating the trends and adapting very quickly. It requires us as Microsoft and US partners in the ecosystem to collaborate at a level that we've never done before. It requires us to use the systems we have at hand and to work in new and different ways. And I kind of gave away this little insight already. Microsoft has always been partner-led. We've always been with you for plus 30 years. We are partner-led today, and we certainly are partner-led for tomorrow. But this is a new Microsoft. We have a new CEO in Microsoft, Satya Nadella, and he made a very strong statement around our commitment to the partner ecosystem, to the channel, to you. which is that Microsoft, this company, was built on enabling broad ecosystems and broad partner opportunity. But that we now need to redefine in the context of mobile-first, cloud-first world. And that's certainly something I'd like to talk to you about this afternoon. When you think about your traditional way of making money, of doing business, many of you, specifically those of you that have been around for a little bit longer, have been involved in the more classic way of doing transactional business, or perhaps also project, hourly-based type services. Now, there's certainly still space for that. There certainly is room for that in the industry, no doubt about that. But when you think about your differentiation and how you're going to make money so you can continue to invest and, of course, delight your customers, it's very clear to us that the managed services model that so many of you as MSPs are already involved in, that's where the value lies today. And moreover, as you move up the stack into real deep integrated IP and apps specific to customers or perhaps to verticals, that's where we see tremendous opportunity for us together to delight the customers out there and make very, very good money together. Now, there's various ways this can be done. We do not, as Microsoft, believe in the tyranny of only one choice that some of our competitors are preaching out there. We certainly believe as a company that cloud is the solution that all customers out there deserve to see the value and the benefit from. But we also live in a world today where there are millions, 100 million plus companies out there that run in mixed environments. Some have purely gone to the cloud. Some are in hybrid environment between partner-hosted and vendor clouds. And I'm going to use the O word, but some people are still on-premise using software. And look, Microsoft, of course, comes from a rich background of being a software vendor. We still make great software. And we certainly also believe that whilst we want to lead every single discussion with you and to our joint customers with a cloud message, we want to make sure that for those customers that for good reasons or bad reasons or a combination of the two are not ready for a pure public cloud solution, that we can offer a solid hybrid solution. And we are very proud of being in this situation of offering what I call power of choice. Power of choice of being able for you as a partner on one invoice to service your customers and give them a solution that can be any combination of on-premise and cloud, public and private cloud. That is unique, and that certainly differentiates us in our partnership against other vendors whose names I will not use today. I remember being in a meeting in Miami, Florida. I think you were there. You were there 4 years ago. So you will hopefully give me a vouch for this is a true story. So around about 4 years ago, Venki and I, we were in Miami, Florida. And it was a Microsoft Distribution Partner Advisory Council meeting. And we were talking about the cloud. It was very early days of cloud. And we had some exciting engineering discussions, lots of PowerPoint slides, as you do in Microsoft meetings. And I remember at the end of the discussion, the interaction, there was one gentleman in the meeting that put his hand up and said, "Look, Thomas, what's this story about the cloud?" Remember, this is 4 years ago. 4 years ago when Steve Ballmer, the former CEO of Microsoft, had just made the famous statement of, "We are all in. We're all in the cloud as Microsoft." And this gentleman was saying, "Look, I'm making good money today from on-premise. I love on-premise. It's a healthy business, lots of annuity income. I know how to operate it. Why are you putting pressure on me and my business with this cloud nonsense?" So knowing that this gentleman could take direct feedback, I said, "My friend, if you don't do this together with us, you're going to be out of business in 4 years' time." And that created a little bit of energy in the room, but some good discussions, and together we found great ways of working together. Now, I wish today that what I know today and what I can share with you in the next slide, I'd had a few years back in that discussion. I think it would have made the discussion a little bit easier with that gentleman, a very good partner, by the way, of Microsoft. Now, what we know today is the notion of cloud. It's no longer slideware. It's no longer a dream. This is real. Very, very real. Now, let me explain this chart in very simple terms. Basically, it's a function of time. You have an intersection here, which is July of this year. So in July of this year, when you look at the number of seats of Office 365, which is the productivity or the SaaS cloud solution from Microsoft in the public cloud, we have, in July of this year, started selling more seats of cloud Office than what we're selling on-premise. Now, just reflect on that for a second. Office is one of the most, if not the most, successful franchise in the history of this industry. And we've now taken the cloud solution, and together with your engagement, your involvement, we're now servicing and delighting more customers in the cloud than when we do on-prem. So something magical has happened. Change has arrived and is now translating into real numbers, into real business, real profitability for all of us. Now this, of course, is just the start. There are around about, no one really knows the exact number, let's call it around about 200 million companies across the world. And only a few of those today use public cloud. So tons of opportunities still for all of us. And not just to sell and service those customers, those companies with SaaS, with Office 365, but moreover, also bring them into, say, supporting them from an IaaS and from a platform perspective in the cloud with Microsoft Azure. So literally speaking, this is a sprint. It's a sprint to mobile first, to cloud first. We as Microsoft, we continue to experience triple-digit growth of our cloud business. At the end of our Q4 results for our fiscal year FY14, we announced that we're continuing to grow our cloud business in Office 365 with 147% year over year, which equals an annualized run rate of roughly $4.4 billion. So the numbers are very real, but again, it's just the start. And as you look at this business, there's some core elements in terms of what's driving the growth. Well, here's the thing. First of all, Microsoft and you, we have together been super successful over the years in servicing the customers across Asia with great solutions and services across Windows, Office, server infrastructure, and so forth. But when we look at what's happening with the cloud, we're seeing in our numbers at Microsoft that the number of companies we're now serving is quadrupling in size when you look at the number of companies that you are serving with Office 365. So in other words, one of the core drivers for our joint success, for our joint growth and joint profitability is around winning net new companies and net new business. So we are seeing many of you across Asia that perhaps in the past had 100 or 200 customers companies as customers. You're now putting a zero behind it. So starting to service far, far more companies with not only a cloud solution, but across hybrid scenarios. What we are seeing is that most of these net new customers that we are gaining together, we are driving and leading these discussions with Office 365. This is the low-hanging fruit. This is the, in inverted commas, easy way of getting the customers going. I get the wonderful opportunity to travel a lot, eat a lot of chicken on Delta and other great airlines, and I have visited many countries in Asia over the last few months. I met with one partner in Australia. So this partner used to be a very large partner in Australia for a competitor that starts with a G. And we had a good chat to this competitor, to this competing partner, so to speak, around their business. And through engagement and understanding what they're hearing from their customers, it actually became clear that they really wanted to convert their business to Microsoft. What they were finding is in every single customer engagement was, when they're going in with a Google value proposition, it was hard upsell, upriver sailing. They had to explain what they were doing, and every single customer out there was using a product every day that they love, called Office. So for that partner to transition into leading their business with Office 365 was a low-hanging fruit type opportunity, and that's exactly what they've done. They literally overnight have changed their business, moved from driving competing product into driving Office 365. And they do it because they see it drives traffic, it drives net new customer ads, and a way of starting the customer conversation that over time allows them to monetize that relationship. So many opportunities in many different ways. I met another partner in Hong Kong, a managed service provider. This was one of the first times after, when I go back to 4 years ago being in Florida and having a difficult discussion with a set of partners around the cloud. This is one of the first times I heard a partner anywhere in the world saying, listen, Office 365 is being commoditized. This is accepted in a broad way by the industry and moreover by the customers. And there's no longer anxiety and fear. The customers are getting it. It's just Office, by the way, with great backup in the cloud and email collaboration and communication services in the cloud. So the customers are getting it. The customers do no longer question it. So certainly, in terms of you going out winning net new business, net new companies as customers, and using that entry point of cloud, of Office 365, to then over time monetize that relationship, that seems to be the lever that I recommend all of you to consider. When I look at some of the learnings from our partners across the world, I think the starting point in terms of just offering you some practical advice on how to go about it is rethink your P&L. Rethink your P&L in the sense that the conventional wisdom of you have to monetize every single transaction with any customer, new or old customer from day one, that may not apply. What we are seeing, what I'm seeing is those partners that embrace a hard-selling, hard-charging sales engine that is focused around winning net new companies as customers and are a little bit more flexible from a profitability perspective with the first deal with a new customer seems to win. Now, the driver behind it is the notion of customer lifetime value. With the cloud, of course, it's not about a once-off sale. It's around annuity. It's around monetizing that relationship over time. And really the driver for that is get in with a customer, get the trust built, provide them with the first service, provide that in a great way, and over time, cross-sell and upsell. And that's how you can monetize the relationship in a very profitable way. That seems to be a model that is resonating very, very well. The other thing I want to encourage is, and I know this may come as a shock to many of you, we do have to make sure that whatever the customers out there are buying, they get to use it. So making sure that we deploy, activate, and proactively drive that the customers start using what they're paying for is more important than ever before. In the past, as you sold products and services, perhaps we're not always 100% focused on that, but in the cloud, this is the fundamental 101. You've got to get that motion going of getting the customers to see the value of the service, get them to use it every day so they understand what it can do for their business and how it can transform their business. If we don't drive that, then of course we're in for a very nasty surprise in terms of churn. It would be a big oversight if I didn't spend a quick minute on the Microsoft Partner Program. So we're very proud of servicing hundreds of thousands of partners across the world in a partner program known as MPN, the Partner Network. We have recently made some enhancements to it and introduced a cloud performance path that enables partners in new ways to enter into our silver and gold competencies. There are a number of benefits associated with our partner network, and the details in the slides, and myself and my colleagues, we're ready after today's sessions to take you through it in detail if you have questions. But I do want to highlight a couple of benefits. The number one benefit, if any of you are not already working with us in the cloud and want to work together with us in the cloud, this is the one action you want to take coming out of here. And that is use the stuff you want to service your customers with, that you want to sell to your customers. In other words, if you're a Microsoft partner, we provide you with free internal use of our cloud services and software. Now, using that, deploying that is critical. Once you understand what you're selling, you will be far more successful. So that's the one thing I'll say to you, I encourage you to do. From a marketing perspective, we provide MDF or co-op funds for those partners that are part of our programs. Another great benefit from a sales perspective, specifically our training offers lots of value both to your sales resources and marketing resources. And then finally, from a support perspective, our deployment shadowing and practice accelerators is something I would like to highlight. In summary, I think we have built a wonderful, strong foundation for joint success over the past 30+ years. And we are, as ever in Microsoft, committed to you, our channel, to our partners. But of course, it's also a time of change. It's a time where we need to innovate. So when I look at the foundation for joint success, technology leadership, of course, is a grounded component that requires product innovation. You can count on Microsoft to continue to innovate with a focus on the cloud. For us to be successful, there has to be opportunity, and of course, that means there has to be growth in the industry. We all know that cloud is big today already, and by 2017, we know that the cloud opportunity, the public cloud opportunity, is going to be more than $100 billion globally. There is no lack of opportunity in this space. We need to invest together, but also be committed and have confidence in each other. We as Microsoft, we've worked with you for plus 30 years. We believe in you. We're committed to you. We have confidence in you. And we are asking that you show the same to us. And we will certainly find a strong way of winning in this market together. And then finally, learning together. There's this notion of best practices. You can call it a silver bullet or a recipe for success. But look, there are models that work very, very well in this new era. We're ready to engage with you, to share in detail how we think we can win together in this marketplace, in this era of mobile first, cloud first. With that, we have round about 9 minutes left for some questions. So, Alistair? Thank you.
So we have many questions, so I'm going to get straight into it. There's a lot of interest in getting feedback from Microsoft. Let me start with a very relevant one for many in the room. You're saying the future is in cloud, but there's still demand for a small business server.
Yep.
And a product like SBS 2011, it includes Exchange.
Yep.
Do you have any plans to introduce a similar product? What's the strategy there?
We have introduced a similar product. It's called the cloud. It's called, for example, Office 365, where you have Exchange, you have email in the cloud. And of course, we want to encourage those customers out there that have been on SBS in the past to migrate to Office 365. Of course, we have infrastructure and platform as a service solutions available through Azure. But again, I don't want to say we're forcing the customers into the cloud. For those customers that want to be in a hybrid environment or perhaps fully want to stay on-premise, we also have wonderful solutions through partner-hosted type approaches and through Windows Server Standard that can fulfill those requirements. So I would say time has moved on. SBS, Small Business Server, was very successful. You did a great job in driving it into the small business segment, but we're now driving the business into the cloud, and that's where the focus is.
Okay. Now we have a number of questions which are along the same theme.
Yeah.
The first one here is, how can you get partners excited about your technology when they can't sell it? And I suspect this is linked to the next question is, why are you restricting access to the broad channel to sell Surface Pro? So I think this is related to Surface in particular.
What a wonderful question, thank you. That's probably the easiest question. I started my career in hardware. I spent 10 years working for a hardware company called Olivetti, and then I spent 5 years working for Dell Computer. I learned in the 90s that running a hardware company is something that takes time to build. And Microsoft certainly wants to provide great customer experiences through the Surface business. But we're also learning, candidly. And we have gone through some learning over the last couple of years. We are in the process right now of piloting, of testing out some expanded channel models for Surface Pro 3, specifically in Asia, in Japan, and in Hong Kong. We have launched that a few weeks ago. I was actually reviewing it in Tokyo yesterday with my Japanese team. So we are trying to understand the pros of expanding our model, and depending on the outcome of those pilots in Japan and Hong Kong, we may decide to take some further steps.
Can you give any hints about what those might look like?
You know, I would say to you, let's give us a few months to run our pilot. Let's understand some of the issues and some of the opportunities that comes out of that. And as we learn that, we'll figure out a way forward and understand, can we expand the route to market through the classic two-tier channel.
Good thing is there's clearly demand for it.
Absolutely.
Nicole, maybe you want to take the next one?
Yes, also a hardware questions. So there is a Chinese question coming in asking about Nokia.
Yeah.
为什么你没有保留诺基亚的品牌? Why you didn't keep the Nokia brand?
Without going into a contractual deep discussion, Microsoft did not acquire the brand Nokia. We had the right to use the brand for a certain amount of time, and we chose to make a transition and announce a transition fairly recently.
Great. So also I would like to help you with some English questions, Alistair.
Yes, go for it.
So we saw some question coming about Microsoft in China.
Yeah.
So how are you doing in China? How Microsoft is doing in China?
So the Microsoft business in China is an exciting business. There's so much potential. And we are very proud of the fact that it seems like most customers, both consumers and businesses use Microsoft products in China. Now, what we need to figure out together, and I'm looking out to the audience here and seeking your help and your inspiration, now we need to find a way of monetizing what's being used. So the products are popular, and that's a good thing, right? So we certainly have some challenges. Here's the reason why I'm so excited about China. And I think we have a breakthrough coming together now. The cloud is it. The cloud is it in the sense that if you want to use the cloud service, you, so to speak, have to pay for it, right? So I think we have a wonderful opportunity together to monetize our joint business in China through the cloud. So we're very focused on that, and we have, as you may know, we have recently launched our both Azure and Office 365 offerings onshore, running out of data centers in China as the first global vendor. And we're very proud of that, done in partnership with the 21 Vianet.
Great.
A tough political situation, of course. But
it's an interesting market, but with interesting challenges also comes opportunities. So I think, look, let's embrace it in an optimistic way, and let's figure out how we can turn it into good, solid business.
Okay. We have a question on how Google has been promoting, obviously, Google Apps for Business. What is Microsoft's unique differentiator and your partner strategy in this region compared to Google? What can you sort of say to partners in terms of how you can differentiate that from the Google approach?
Sure. The funny thing is, the first, and I think, from my opinion, the most important differentiating factor of Microsoft relative to Google sits in this room, and that's all the people here. So we have a vibrant ecosystem of more than, actually close to 60,000 partners across the world that are already out together transacting Office 365 with us. That's a very large proportion of the Microsoft ecosystem. And I think that makes a big difference. We know from research, we know from customer engagements that the one thing that matters to the customers is having a local trusted partner. And that's what you are. You are the local trusted partner that can service the customers, large and small, in a way that Google do not seem to be able to do. So that to me is a differentiator. Then of course there's a product discussion, a services, a cloud discussion. And I will say there is this one little thing that we're leading our entire cloud focus with, and it's called Office. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. The 4 applications that more than 1 billion people use and love every day. Now that's a unique differentiator for us to go out and drive a win against Google by taking those customers' use of Office to the cloud so they get a modern Office experience. At the same time, you provide them with the communication, collaboration, workloads that they, of course, all are looking towards for.
Okay. We have a question on distribution. What is the role of a solutions distributor in the Microsoft cloud model?
It's a great question as well. Yeah. I'm also the Microsoft representative for distribution. So it's a channel I'm very, very committed to and very passionate about. I'm very proud of the fact that in partnership with Microsoft's Distribution Partner Advisory Council, We're the first global vendor that has landed a very, very clear, simple, crisp, straightforward model for transacting cloud through the two-tier distribution channel. So in almost all the countries we transact in across the world, it's now possible to sell service through distribution, the end customers with Microsoft Cloud, whether we're talking Azure, Intune, and of course Office 365. We believe that having that distribution chain in play is what makes us successful with the breadth of the tens of thousands of resellers across Asia and across the world. So a critical engine to Microsoft.
And do you see distributors stepping up to the mark in terms of being able to do that? It's a change for them.
You know, I could answer this so many different ways. I'm looking one of my distribution colleagues right in the eyes. He needs to do more work. I think looking at the business results, I couldn't be more happy than I am. Look, the results, the progress is fantastic. The growth is incredible. But the thing I want to emphasize is it's an era also of new math. When I grew up in the 80s, 90s, you know, we were happy when you had 10%, 15% growth, and we would celebrate it and all feel really good about it. What I've learned with the math is that my math skills, I have to relearn them. Actually, I have to unlearn them and relearn them. Because what matters in the cloud is triple-digit growth. You heard about the growth of Microsoft's cloud business, 365 at 147%. So what I want to challenge my distribution partners, colleagues, actually all partners around this, be careful not to over-celebrate 50% growth in the cloud or 80% growth in the cloud, specifically when the base still is relatively small. It's got to be triple-digit percentage math that makes the cut.
There is one question which I think is a good way to close, and it's around the profitability model for the channel.
Yeah.
Partners who are selling traditional on-premise storage, for example, and other technologies, they have a very established profit model. Microsoft's approach is to kind of disrupt that. So can you perhaps give an insight into how partners can profit from this shift to cloud, which obviously is a very different way of doing business? Some comments on that?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I would say there are many wonderful best practices of partners that have made the shift from on-prem to cloud, whether we're talking SaaS, IaaS, or PaaS, and are far more profitable. Now, some of the core drivers for their profitability is, of course, they're changing their sales model. So I would say those that think that they can operate in the cloud world in the same way and with the same infrastructure as they did in the old days in the on-prem world, they're in for a surprise. So it does require a different approach. It also comes back to rethinking your P&L that I spoke about a little bit earlier on, where you want to think about how do you monetize the customer relationships over time, also known as customer lifetime value. That's another component. But finally, I would just add tactically from a Microsoft perspective, look, we are not confused that profitability matters. And we are investing this fiscal year more than $2 billion into channel incentives, into rebate, MDF, and co-op. And we do that because we know and appreciate we have to support and assist the channel in making a transition that can be hard at times, and can be a transition that can cost some money. So we're very focused on investing in that, besides, of course, taking the obvious steps of providing the training and the joint marketing that needs to get done to drive new business.
Okay. All right, Thomas, we're out of time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.